Welcome to Bluegrass, Brooklyn, our podcast all about the music we love, straight from the Bluegrass borough of Brooklyn, New York.
I'm a little different from the kind of folks you meet. Love and admiration never meant too much to me. I'd rather hear your whistle whine and feel the freight train rock than find myself some dead-end job and punching.
Hello, and welcome to Season 6, Episode 5 of the Bluegrass Brooklyn podcast. I'm your co-host, Liz Wolfe, and this week, Mike is hanging at the fiddle hang. Today's interview is with Anissa Burnett. She is one of the Burnett Sisters, and they are an emerging artist at Gray Fox, which is why I took the opportunity to speak to her. She tells us all about her family growing up and about her role over at ETSU. And I also get a chance to speak with Celia Woodsmith again. This time, she tells her Gray Fox story. In case you're wondering what's going on, do not forget Porch Stomp, Saturday, June 20th from 11 to 6 p.m. 20 stages, a whole day of musical fun. It's all free. And of course, you can check out the Bluegrass Brooklyn stage. You can also join Trevor and Conchi for a jam in Fort J from 11 to 2. And of course, Sonny's is also hosting their jam. Please remember to follow, like, and subscribe to our podcast. You can find us online at Bluegrass Brooklyn, spelled BKLYN.com. And of course, if you want to check out our jams here on the Upper West Side, Riverdale, the Bronx, and beyond, you can look me up on bluegrassjamsnearme.com. Thanks so much for listening and enjoy the interview. Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Bluegrass Brooklyn podcast. I'm very excited to have on today Anissa Burnett. So Anissa plays in the Burnett Sisters Band along with her two sisters, Annalie and Sophia, and her now fiance, Gary Allen. So welcome, Anissa.
Thank you. Super honored to be here with you today.
And I made the connection with Anissa because, as you all, our listeners know, we are the podcast in residence for the Gray Fox Music Festival that's coming up in July. And the Burnett Sisters are going to be playing there.
Yeah, we're super excited. We've not been to Gray Fox yet. So this is one that's been on our bucket list of festivals to do. So yeah, we're very excited.
So how did that come about that you got to play there?
We're actually in partnership with ETSU out of Johnson City, so East Tennessee State University. And we're going to play and also talk about the university because I work there as a fiddle teacher and as the marketing coordinator for the Bluegrass program specifically. And Gary also teaches guitar during the semesters. And then Sophia and Annalie are students in the program. So we're very ETSU affiliated, and we're going to do a 2-in-1 type thing and perform as well as talk about ETSU. On stage, we have our Appalachian Studies marketing coordinator, which ETSU Bluegrass is part of Appalachian Studies. So it's separate from the music department at ETSU. It's part of the Appalachian Studies department. So Mark is coming from Appalachian Studies, and he's going to come up before our set and talk a little bit about ETSU, and so will we. So it's a little combo. We get to talk about ETSU and also play with the band and talk about the band.
Well, that's great. So I've never been to ETSU. I know a few of my bluegrass folks that are young who are either going there or went there. So that's really awesome. I am getting my degree in music from City College, which is literally right up the hill from me in New York City.
Okay.
You know how you send kids on a semester abroad?
Yes.
I'm like, I want to go to ETSU for a semester.
Yes.
Can I do that?
You can. Yes. And I know you don't look over 60, but if you're over 60, you can audit and take classes for free too. So that's a plus about the program.
Wow. Okay. Well, anybody over 60 listening that's interested in auditing classes at ETSU, You should jump on that. See, already we're not only promoting Gray Fox, but also ETSU as well. Anyway, so good. We're excited to have you there. And as many of the listeners know, we do highlight women in bluegrass in this podcast. And you're not just one woman, you're three women. So you're obviously the oldest of your.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep, I'm the oldest. And then there's a 5-year gap, and then Sophia, and then a 2-year gap, and then Annalie. And we actually have an older sister who used to play with us, and she doesn't anymore, but our first solid 8 years of performing, or maybe more, was with her. And so that was fun. So it was always 4 sisters. Now it's 3, which is still fun, but there was another.
Probably a little easier to manage in some ways.
It is actually, yeah, it's easier to make decisions. I'll just say that.
And what's your older sister's name?
Kathleen.
Kathleen. Okay. And any brothers?
No brothers, just sisters.
So it sounds like you've been singing together and playing together for a very long time, since that was 8 years, and now you're still going strong. Tell us about your musical beginnings as not just a group, but obviously a very musical family.
Yeah. So when we moved up to Boone in the early 2000s, it might have been 2001, Kathleen and I were basically babies, toddlers, and our dad, as he was building our house in Boone, he would come down to downtown Boone, and there was a bluegrass old time jam at the Jones House, which is a community arts center right downtown. And they would have jams. And also he would go over to Todd, North Carolina, which is right down the road, and they would have bluegrass jams. And that was the first time he had really heard bluegrass. He was like, what is this traditional music? And he found out that this is the music of the region. And he wanted his kids to play this music since we were going to be raised in it. So we ended up going to jams growing up, and that's how we learned. We went through specifically the jam program, which is the Junior Appalachian Musicians Program. I started fiddle when I was 4. Kathleen started when she was 5. Sophia and Annalie started when they were 4 or 5. So fiddle was our first instrument, and our dad taught us by a book. He played guitar. He still plays guitar, but not bluegrass. He plays folk and rock and roll and stuff, but he wanted to really focus in on that traditional music, traditional bluegrass and old time. So he taught us from a book, and from there we started learning by ear by our friends and people around Boone area. And we would grow up going to a lot of fiddlers conventions in Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina, and Tennessee. And that got us in. We made connections. And so competitions were like a huge part of our lives. That was the way that we made money as a kid. We would try and go win these competitions. And then from there, we started playing together. We were really young when we started singing together. I think we'd always been singing together. I remember when Annalie was 3 years old, she was picking out the high harmony and memorizing it. And then by 5, she was picking it out on her own. So especially for Sophie and Annalie, it's been a huge part of their life. They probably don't even know any other world without bluegrass and old time. So yes, we've been playing together our whole lives. Churches too, a lot of gospel music. We grew up singing in local churches. And then I think in about 2015, we really started playing more professionally and had some banjo player friends, because none of us played banjo. And we would go out and play more actual festivals.
So what's the instrument distribution?
I play fiddle in the band. I also play bass and guitar and clawhammer banjo, but fiddle's my main instrument. Then Annalie plays mandolin and fiddle, mostly mandolin, but of course fiddle was her first instrument. So she plays a little bit of that twin fiddle with me in the band. And then Sophia also plays fiddle, but she plays bass mostly in the band. And then of course Geary plays guitar, but he's also a really great 3-finger bluegrass banjo player, but he sticks to guitar for the band.
Got it. And you pulled him in when?
About 3 years ago. Well, we met about 3.5 to 4 years ago, if I'm getting my timeline correct. We joined the Tennessee Bluegrass Band together at the same time. They hired us on, and that's how we met. And then we ended up quitting that band at the same time a year later and decided to go full time in the Burnett Sisters Band, which was a great fit for him and great for us because he grew up in a family bluegrass band. He was very familiar with the type of music that we played. It just happened to be that we all played a little bit of swing, a lot of old time and bluegrass. And so when he came over, we connected on that and our music taste. And then we just started playing in the Burnett Sisters Band together. And he's been an incredible fit. I can't think of anybody who would fit better in the band. His guitar playing is just incredible. And he does a lot of songwriting. So we play a lot of his songs too.
Yeah. So what percentage of the songs that you do would you say are original versus any covers that you might do?
I would say about 60% original, especially since Geary joined a few years ago. But we do like to throw in a few covers. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of swing that we like to add in there and kind of classic stuff. And so those ones we do covers. There's a few classic bluegrass songs that we love to add in. We love Larry Sparks. We like to do a few of his. And of course, the traditional Flat and Scruggs, we like to do a couple of those too. So I would say about 60% original.
And what's your favorite part? Is it the singing with your sisters, the touring, the potential recording, the songwriting?
Oh gosh, I love it all. I think playing with your family is a huge bonus. It's a completely different vibe from playing with other people. There's pros and cons for sure, but it does make things maybe a little bit easier. We all get to boss each other around. Maybe, I don't know if that's a pro or a con. It's a little bit easier to make decisions and be like, okay, this is what we're doing, guys. Meet up at this time. But no, it's just really fun. And our parents like to come along sometimes. And so it's a lot of family connection. But I think also a huge part of what I enjoy is just meeting friends and fans along the way, getting to play shows and talking to people afterwards and beforehand and making those connections and hearing their stories and how music has influenced their life or how our music is touching their lives. It really is incredible. And that is what keeps us going. A lot of what keeps us going is talking to those people and hearing how much they enjoy it. And also the youth too, and inspiring the next generation of bluegrass kids. I think that's so amazing. Getting to speak to them and hearing them play and make those connections as well.
So who's somebody that was really cool that you got to play with?
We played not as a band, but when we were younger, we played with Ralph Stanley. And I think that was one of the highlights of my life. That was, I can't even remember. It would have been a band that I played with a long time ago, but that was my older sister, Kathleen, and I got to play with him. And that was, I think, a few months before he passed. So that was a special moment that I still hold deep to my heart.
Yeah. How did that come about?
We were playing in another band before we really went full time with Burnett Sisters Band. We were playing in a band called Strictly Strings, which was really a local old time string band. And we were able to have a lot of opportunities in that band, actually. And that was what got us going, got us a lot of stage experience when we were younger. And we happened to be hired on through that band to play a show at the Blue Ridge Music Center. And Ralph Stanley happened to be playing after us. So we opened for him, and I had no idea that he was even playing. I never imagined I'd be able to meet him either. At that time, I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I think we did get a picture with him. I think we've lost that picture since then. So that's definitely through that band, it got us a few experiences that we wouldn't have gotten before as kids. But I always remember Ralph Stanley as being the
I
high.
would think that was a memorable one. Yes, I would think. So you knew who he was, obviously, even at that time.
Yeah, and I knew who he was and I listened to his music, but it really became a bigger thing after I was able to hear him in person. And yeah.
That's awesome. So have you noticed there's a sisters band trend lately? There's the Price Sisters, Burnett Sisters. I'm trying to think. I think there's a couple more.
Yeah.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I'm hearing a lot about sister bands recently, which I think is super cool. What do you think is the best aspect of singing with your sisters?
I think it's really special. People do talk a lot about the sister harmony, but it wasn't until I started singing with other people that I realized it really is a family thing. There's a lot of things we don't have to even talk about. It just happens. And I think that's a really special part of it, specifically with the singing part of musically is super fun too. And I'll throw Sophia in there because she doesn't do much singing. She holds us together with the bass. But I don't know, there's something about that connection. And when you just play certain things and it just clicks, maybe it's because we grew up with each other and we know how each other thinks. But I think that has something to do with it. I love playing with other people, obviously, but there's something a little different. I think now that I've played in other bands and every time I keep coming back to the sisters, it's just kind of a relief. I help teach groups in the ETSU Bluegrass program. We have 35 to 40 bands a semester, and we each have a few bands that we instruct and help lead. And so I'll play with them and help them and instruct them. And then we'll come back and we'll have a rehearsal with the Burnett sisters. And it's like, wow, I think my appreciation for family harmony and playing in a family and that musical connection has really grown since playing with other people over the years.
Do you all still live in the same house together, or you're separated at this point?
Sophia lives in Boone with our parents. We were all living in this house in Johnson City because they were students at ETSU. And so that made things easy. Honestly, it lives kind of part-time from Boone and Johnson City. During the summer, she goes back to Boone. Sophia just recently moved back to Boone full-time. So, but the last few months, well, it's about the last year, we've all been living in this Johnson City house, and it's been really fun. Well, we have one bathroom and we all share one bathroom.
Okay.
So it's been as fun as
A
it's
con.
been.
One of the cons. Okay, we get it.
Yes, but luckily as a sister, you can be like, get out, it's
Right.
my turn.
That's right. So I did an interview with Brenna McMillan, and she was talking about touring. And as the woman in the band, mostly other men in the band, that the challenges she has with touring as, let's say, a single woman, or meaning an only woman amongst all these men. I mean, poor Geary, he's the odd man out in this case, right? I don't see.
Yes, really. And we always play with a fifth person. It's us four members as actual members, but then we always have a banjo player who's usually a guy. In fact, I don't think we've ever had a banjo player who's a girl. But so at least he does have another male.
I can imagine that makes touring easier.
It does for us. I'm not sure for him. Maybe it's better for him. He doesn't have to worry about other things, but there's a few things like we're very particular about our stage wear and coordinating colors, and he could care less, honestly. As long as he looks nice, he could care less. So sometimes when we're up super late and trying to figure out what we're going to wear for the festival the next day, he's like, just go to bed. Why are you still talking about this? And we have all the clothes lined out in the living room and we're trying to get his opinion on things. He's like, I don't care. So maybe that he sometimes could be like, okay. So we keep the decision making when it comes to apparel and certain things to us girls, and he stays out of it, but he takes it really well. He grew up, he has a sister, so he can kind of relate, but I enjoy it a lot more since traveling in the Tennessee Bluegrass Band. No hate on the men, but I was the only girl in a 5-piece band, and I have a huge appreciation for a band with women now. After many long road trips with all men.
Yeah, it's a different challenge that you're not really thinking about when you're just traveling with a few, like your family members. It's a whole other thing, although,
Yes.
yeah. So are there some women singers that you admire or look to emulate?
I think me personally, I love the Carter family. I love the female harmony, the female singing. I love Alison Krauss. I think she's an easy go-to inspiration, of course. Her voice is beautiful. I think we look to a lot of classic country singers like Patsy Cline. We do a lot of her music, and every time I hear her, it blows my mind. Listen to a lot of Patsy Cline. And other old jazz singers, they're very inspiring. But I would say with traditional music, the Carter family has really been a huge part of my life. which is really fun with ETSU because we get to pick our theme for each band every semester. And if I'm leading a band, I get to pick who we get to study. So the last few semesters I've picked the Carter family and got to really dig into their music. So that's been super fun. But I would say they're probably my biggest inspiration when it comes to female vocals and family singing.
Yeah, that's something that I recall from you playing when I saw you at Podunk last summer, was the swing aspect that you bring to that. So where does that influence come from?
We've always enjoyed swing music and we've always played a little bit. I think just hearing it here and there growing up, we were like, wow, this is really neat. And then I played some Texas swing fiddle when I was in college, and especially in the bluegrass fiddle competition circuit, like Western swing, you play a lot of Western swing songs, which are really just trick fiddle tunes for competition. So that also gave me a little taste into the Western swing world. But then, especially since Geary joined, because Western swing, interestingly, and jazz are huge in England. So that's a huge part of his life. He's an incredible jazz and swing guitar player. And so when he joined, then he was like, hey, there's all these songs we want to do. I know you guys enjoy swing. Let's try to work them up. So I think especially our appreciation for swing has gone up since he's joined too. He's really helped us listen to more people, broaden our inspirations when it comes to swing and jazz. So Gary's a big part of that.
Yeah, I love that you bring it in. It's an interesting part about bluegrass is there's the classic bluegrass, there's the traditional bluegrass, there's the bands that still really follow that model, even if they're creating original songs. And then there's the bluegrass adjacent experience. And something about Gray Fox that I've always appreciated is you can really get that hardcore bluegrass experience. But there's also an amazing variety of other artists that are there that are playing. For instance, my husband, the only reason why he likes bluegrass is because of me, because I take him to Gray Fox every year. It is not something that he is going to choose to listen to, like, hey,
Yeah.
honey, put on more bluegrass. It's not happening. But he really appreciates, obviously, the classics, but then also he really appreciates the different aspects that other people bring, like what you're going to be bringing with the swing vibe. I think it's a great way that bluegrass music is developing. We would call you the next generation. You're the younger generation, and you're bringing your style into it, which is going to influence how bluegrass progresses.
Yeah. I think for us specifically, and we cater from festival to festival and performance to performance, depending on who the audience is, how they're feeling the music. But sometimes we will do more traditional sets, traditional bluegrass. We really don't do very much contemporary bluegrass. We don't play any mash or anything like that. But that's been a huge part of our music and our band and our sets is keeping it eclectic and doing a few different things. We're still a bluegrass band and we still use bluegrass instruments, but we do play some swing music and we do play some old time. We do play some country. The variety is there. And that's been one thing that people have constantly been like, hey, we appreciate that you do this, especially for people who aren't hardcore bluegrass fans. They want to hear something a little bit different. And we enjoy doing that too. I don't think we could ever be just completely bluegrass. We have to have a little bit of something else in there too. So yeah, that's a huge part of who we are, is kind of playing a few different styles, but it's still being bluegrass and old time based, but adding in a few things here and there.
So you're playing at Gray Fox, obviously. Do you have some other festivals and things you're doing this summer?
Oh my goodness, we're pretty much on the road every single weekend this summer. In fact, I have to look at our website to know where we're playing each week.
What is your website so that people know?
Yeah, it's www.BurnettSistersBand.com.
Burnett Band, BURNETT, sistersband.com. Great.
Correct.
So we can all go and look to see what your tour schedule is there.
Yes, it's very full. So hopefully you can find something in your area. Yeah.
So there you were, 4 or 5 years old, or even 10 years old, playing. Were you imagining someday you're going to get in a car with your sisters and become actually a name that people know?
Wow, that's a great question. I think I hoped for that. I didn't know if that was a reality. I always knew that I would play music, especially when I was younger too, because Sophie and Annalie were so young. I was like, is this going to be a thing? At that time, I was hoping to be in another band or something else. I think I always knew I wanted to play music on the road and play as much of it as possible. But we were also very involved in other things. We grew up with horses, so we were in the horseback riding scene with the competitions and that too. And we were in sports. I was in competitive gymnastics. So there was a lot going on. So I didn't necessarily see music as being the center point, but over the years, it just happened to be that way. I think that my attention really, everything focused on music. It just happened to be that way. And as you grow up, you learn what you like and what you don't like. And
Yeah.
music was at the top of my list. It happened to be that way. And so being Annalie, we're just there for the ride. And then I think later on, I finally came to appreciate it too. It's like, wow, okay, this is something we need to take seriously. And when Kathleen quit the band, we thought it was pretty much over, and we thought, okay, we'll all do our own thing, but it just kept going, and now we're where we are, which is incredible, obviously with the help of Geary too. I
Yeah.
think it's worked out the way it should.
What's interesting is that sometimes when you're young and you imagine doing something, and then when you get to a place in your life when you actually can do it, how you imagine it will be and the reality of how it is can be a lot different. Another friend of mine who I also did interview, Gene Yellen, he said he went in a car with 4 guys to tour for a weekend or something, and he said it was the worst thing and I never wanted to do it again. So so everybody has their way. Now, of course, being 4 guys in a car driving 8 hours to play 2 hours wasn't something he was really thinking was going to be good. So there you were at these competitions. How much money can you actually win if that was how you were making your money as a kid?
Oh my, I think first place, it changed from competition to competition, but usually it wasn't under $100 for first place. And if we were doing a competition a weekend, and you could win sometimes up to $300. So $100 to $300 a weekend for a kid, that's good money. And our parents never paid for anything ever for us. So we had to learn to make our own money. So we would do things on the side, but competition winnings were like the prime. If we could win $100 on a Saturday, it was like, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, I love it. Your parents are like, you guys want to do this? You just do it. I'm not paying for it.
Yeah, they're like, we'll take you, but you practice what you want to practice to win that. If you don't win, boo-hoo.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you. Thank you so much. To see what Anissa and her sisters are up to, go to BurnettSistersBand.com. And of course, anybody in the New York area or anybody going to Gray Fox should make sure to catch the Burnett sisters and learn some more about ETSU. I might need to go to that session so that I can find out if I can do my semester abroad.
Yes.
You never know. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Liz. Appreciate you having me.
Well, hello. I am welcoming back to the show Celia Woodsmith of Delamay fame. Of course, the lead singer, guitar player, washboard player, wonderful musician. So welcome back, Celia.
Thank you so much for having me, Liz.
And of course, we're talking today because you will be once again featured as a very popular act in the Gray Fox Music Festivals. And I know you do have a bit of a Gray Fox story, so dive right in and tell us.
Yeah, I feel so lucky to have discovered Gray Fox. I know it would have happened basically if I hadn't gone just after college. But I really, really appreciate how before I ever stepped on stage at Gray Fox, I was part of the volunteer crew. And that happened because I graduated from the University of Vermont in 2007. And after graduation, the guy I was playing with at the time, his name is Avi Salloway, we were sort of dabbling in bluegrass. I didn't really know what it was. I mean, I was faking it basically. But he said something about this great festival out in Oak Hill. And honestly, we didn't have anything else to do. We were basically living out of his Saab hatchback. We were driving all over the place on tour, playing tiny little shows in town greens all over Vermont. And we wanted something to do. And we were like, hey, this is a fun opportunity. We could go to this festival. And if you volunteer, it's free. So we were like, oh, heck yeah. So let's go. And I had just volunteered for 2 whole weeks at the Kerrville Folk Festival in Kerrville, Texas. So I was like, I want Trash Crew, baby. Trash Crew is great because at least I think, maybe I'm making this up, but we would work 1 less hour and we got free showers. And I was like, this is what I'm talking about. I can get a free shower, work a little bit less, and also it's mobile. So you can pick up trash sort of slowly by some of the tents where there's an act going on you wanted to see. You're like, oh, I got that trash bin, no problem. So I loved Trash Crew. I did Trash Crew for 2 years. So 2007 and 2008, I did Trash Crew. And then I moved over to the food tent up at the top with artist hospitality and stuff like that. And then my very last job was working at the merch tent. And I remember very clearly I was stationed with Jean McCurry, with Mrs. McCurry. And everyone was like, now this is a big job, you know? So I helped her. They sell their own merch at Gray Fox. So I helped Jean set everything up and I sat there with her and we got to talking and she's just the most delightful woman. And I used that as my opportunity to say, Mrs. McCurry, how does Del get his hair like that? And she goes, oh, honey, he just brushes it back. Like, okay. So I remember really fondly the first 4 years of Gray Fox, and I feel like I grew really close to a lot of the volunteers, a lot of the people who make that festival happen, and got to see the inner workings of a festival of that size. It was a really great time in my life to be a volunteer.
But man, what was the first year that you actually got to step up on that stage?
All right, so we're going to have to go back in time. 2007, 8, 9, 10 were the years that I volunteered, and I think it was 2011 was the first year that I got to actually stand on the main stage at Gray Fox. And I had been playing music that whole time, but I was playing rock and roll. I was living in Boston playing rock and roll. And sort of on the side, I was playing this session at the Burren in Somerville, Davis Square, Massachusetts. And we were playing this quote unquote bluegrass session. And this was all part of my education of bluegrass, right? I'd gone to Gray Fox. I learned a little bit more about sitting around a campfire jamming. And I didn't even really know, God, I feel like I probably put my foot in my mouth so many times with like jam etiquette stuff. I can just remember some very cringy moments of really not knowing what the quote unquote rules are of jamming or of bluegrass, really. So the session that I was playing on Wednesday nights, we would hire different folks out. And one time we got word, oh, there's this really great fiddle player named Kimber Ludiker. You should hire her. So we hired Kimber. And that was the first time that Kimber and I met. It was that moment of, wow, you're really good. And wow, you're really good. And we just had a kinship and a friendship. And then in very early 2011, Kimber asked me to be in Delamay, to sing for Delamay. And she used as that little dangling carrot. She said, you know, we're going to be playing Gray Fox. And I was like, oh, tell me more. So that was a big motivator for me to join this band, to be like, I could really realize a dream of mine to play at this festival I've been volunteering at and that I love so much. That even that Gray Fox gave Delamay a chance to be part of this incredible lineup when we were such a young band. It really speaks to Mary just being a real supporter of women in music.
Well, I was at that show of yours in the quote-unquote dance tent, otherwise known as the Catskill tent, in 2011, which was also my first year at Gray Fox. Of course, I didn't know anything. It was my first year. but I know I brought my daughter down and my daughter's friend. And we talked about this on the previous show where there just weren't that many women playing at that time. Of course, that has changed since then.
Mhm.
So I do remember it. And I had gone to a lot of different shows, but the energy that you all had, because that tent was just packed with
Mhm.
people. And that was my first real experience of the dance tent where I guess we're dancing now. I guess
Yeah.
we're not just sitting in lawn chairs, really appreciating the music. We're really part of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was just so exuberant. And I'm glad I got to be a part of that moment in some small way.
Mhm. Yeah, I see photos of that particular set that you're talking about sometimes, and other than being like, "Oh my God, I'm so old now," you look back at these photos of you as a baby, and you're like, "Oh." But yeah, I remember that. I was so nervous. We hadn't really played that much together. We had probably had, I don't know, like under 10 shows maybe before Gray Fox, and I knew how important it was, and just how important it was to do a good job and to present ourselves well. And we're not just this anomaly. We're not just these pretty girls. We really wanted to play well. And
Mhm.
it's crazy to me that I didn't even really know how to play bluegrass guitar at that point. I was still thrashing around like I was some folk rock hero. Like Courtney Hartman taught me so much about the right hand in guitar playing. And I don't feel like it really clicked for me until the end of 2011. We went to Germany on this bluegrass jamboree with Rainer Zellner in Germany, and most young bands cut their teeth on this tour. We did 18 shows in 18 days without one single night off, and I feel like it was just after that I finally understood the right hand in bluegrass. But yeah, it just speaks to the welcoming nature of the folks at Gray Fox that like they really took us in and they really made us part of that community. That's why we've never really, I think we have missed maybe a couple summers at Gray Fox at this point. It's been so long,
Yeah.
but we try not to. We always try to be there just to touch base with that amazing group of people every year.
Yeah. And then, of course, you did, I think it was 3 years ago that you were the artist
Yeah.
residence. So that was part of the journey as well. And I feel at this point, it really, that's what you do. You look on the schedule and say, when is Stella May playing?
Yeah, I mean, Artist in Residence was really fun. And I think it was in a way easier for us because we split it up 4 ways, right? We could be in 2 places at once. I remember the sort of lore of Billy Strings at Gray Fox was that he really was on every stage, moments apart. He would throw himself onto a golf cart after picking with one person and drive to the main stage and drive back. He really took every opportunity, but I feel like we were able to take as many opportunities because we were 4 people. And my favorite thing that I did was I sat in with Le Vent du Nord, and I've been working on my French speaking for a while now, ever since COVID. And I got to sit in with them and sing a couple songs in French. And that was really, for me, a very validating moment, not only because I felt confident about my language skills, but just these guys are just such incredible players and they're so vibrant on stage, and I think they're just so captivating. And being able to play with them, and they asked me to sit in with them, it was like, oh, that's was just such an honor. And I'm actually going to do it again with them.
Here
It's coming. Yeah.
right. Well, which brings me to my next question, which is, what are you most looking forward to this year at Gray Fox?
Yeah, well, that's one of them. Sitting in with Le Vent du Nord. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing Rhiannon Giddens with the Old Time Review. I think that's going to be just fantastic. I'm just looking forward to the fact that, this is going to seem like such a cop-out answer, but on Saturday, we're not officially playing, but we are going to be there. We have this great Airbnb near to the festival. And normally when we're at Gray Fox these days, just because you're going in, you're going out, you've got another gig, and we're going to be flying actually to Colorado on Sunday. But Saturday, we don't have any shows, and we can come, we can be a part of the crowd, we can go to the dance tent, we can sit in with people in sort of this relaxed manner, and I just cannot wait. That was some of the things I loved most about going to Gray Fox when I was a volunteer and when I was a baby musician, was getting to walk around and listen to the jams and getting to not really being so confined by your schedule. So on Saturday, we'll just be there to take it all in. And that is going to be a really fulfilling moment, I think.
Yeah. So you recently released Magic Accident, an incredible compilation of beautiful songs. Is that the plan, to play some of those songs on stage this year?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really pumped on the album. We've been getting really great feedback. We're just so happy with what we came up with, really. And that's a testament not only to all of the women in this band. I feel that we work together really, really well. It's also a testament to all of our co-writers. We had more co-writers on this album than before, and we have more collaborations within the band than we have had in times past. And then the cherry on the top of the whole thing is Alison Brown, who produced the record. She is just such a giving, intelligent, amazing woman. I mean, I could not be happier that she was even willing to work with us on this. I think she's someone I look up to the most in this world of bluegrass. She's really untouchable, I think, with her musical skills and her business skills. She's just a wildly talented woman. And yeah, it feels like a homecoming, and to present this album in particular to the Gray Fox family, I think we're really looking forward to that.
It's a fabulous album if people haven't listened to it yet. Well, thank you so much for catching up with me about this wonderful festival we will all be at in July, and we will see you there for sure.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time.
Easy come, easy go, I'm doing fine. Heard the news, I'm bound to lose, but I can't lose nothing if nothing's mine.
Well, I really enjoyed speaking to both of these women, such exuberant personalities. They are wonderful musicians. If you get a chance, check out both of their recordings in preparation for Gray Fox. Listen to Delamay's recording of Magic Accident. It's a wonderful, wonderful album. And of course, you can catch both of them at the Gray Fox Music Festival. That's coming up on July 15th through 19th in Oak Hill, New York. Don't forget, if you want to give us your Gray Fox story, you can sign up for a time to speak with Mike either at Gray Fox itself or separately. We want to hear all your Gray Fox stories. So please remember to follow us, share the podcast, and spread the love of bluegrass. You can find Mike at bluegrassbrooklyn.com if you want to shoot him a note. That's BKLYN for Brooklyn. And of course, you can find me online at bluegrassjamsnearme.com. So once again, thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you around the jam circle.
I wrote it down in a letter about 20 years ago. I'd asked my future if I'd found the right way. And do I live like I wanted? Push on undaunted. I had to admit that I'd had some bad days. I'd had some bad days. You know I had